You ever notice how people only take you seriously when you stop smiling? When your silence gets louder than their noise? Yeah, that's the world, kid. That's how it plays. You try to be kind. You try to be patient. You try to give them the benefit of the doubt. And what do? They step on you like dirt under their shoes. Like you were born to be ignored, like your softness is a weakness. But here's the joke they don't get. You're not weak. You're just holding back. You've been watching. And now it's time to flip the switch. Time to be serious. Show them you're not the one to be played with. No more warnings. No more understanding. No more hoping they'll finally treat you right. That phase is dead. And it's about time you bury it yourself. You think being quiet makes you invisible? Nah, it makes you dangerous. Because when you're quiet, they start making up their own version of who you are. And the moment you stop playing along, they panic. Oh yeah, they lose it. What happened to the old you, they'll say. The one they could manipulate. The one who'd take every insult, every fake smile, every lie, and still come back with love. That version of you? They liked him because he was useful. He gave them power. But power belongs to the one who walks away, not the one who begs to stay. So here's what you do. Let that soft, scared, always smiling version of you die in silence. No funeral, no goodbye, just gone. And when they realize you ain't playing anymore, that's when the real fear begins. See? Life's a war, and every fake friend, every lying lover, every backstabbing relative, they're just different names for the same enemy. Distraction. You were built for more than drama. You were built for impact. But you can't make noise if you keep letting people treat you like a toy. You think they love you? Nah. They love what you do for them. And when you stop giving, they start vanishing. That's your lesson. That's your wake-up call. Loyalty ain't proven when everything's good. It's proven when you got nothing, when you're broken, when your world's burning. And they still choose to stay. Most won't, and that's fine. Let them leave. Let them walk. Don't chase people who wouldn't bleed for you. Because if they wouldn't fight for you in the dark, they don't deserve to stand next to you in the light. And don't fool yourself. Some of them ain't just careless. They're cruel. They see your pain, and they enjoy it. You ever had someone smile while watching you suffer? You ever had someone pretend they care just so they can feel superior while you drown? That's not just disrespect, that's betrayal in its finest suit. And you kept giving them second chances. You thought maybe they'd change. They don't. People like that don't change. They just get better at pretending. So quit waiting for apologies that ain't coming. Quit hoping the people who hurt you are gonna turn around and help you heal. That's not their role. That's yours. You've gotta learn how to patch yourself up with no one clapping for you. How to rise when nobody sees you. Because real strength, it's quiet, it's lonely, and it's built in the nights when your own mind tries to convince you to give up. And you don't. Be serious now. Stop begging for respect. Start commanding it. You don't need to raise your voice. Just raise your standards. And when someone crosses the line, make them regret it in silence. No yelling, no drama. Just distance and results. Let your absence be their punishment. Let your success be their pain. Because that's the only language some people understand. Loss. They won't appreciate your presence, but they'll drown in your silence. And you'll walk away stronger. You'll walk away wiser. And this time, you won't look back. You know what's funny? People always think they're gonna get another chance with you. They mess up, disappear, ignore your worth, laugh behind your back, and deep down they still think you'll be there waiting. Because that's what you've always done, right? Forgive too fast, trust too deep, love too hard, but not anymore. This version of you, this one's done playing the clown in everyone else's circus. You ain't a joke. You ain't a replacement, and you sure as hell ain't someone's emotional trash can. You were just raised with a heart too real for a world too fake. And that's why they never knew what to do with you. You made them uncomfortable. You held up a mirror, showed them what loyalty, patience, and care really look like, and they weren't ready for it. So they ran, or worse, they stayed and destroyed you from the inside, and you stayed quiet. You tried to heal people who were cutting you deeper every time you got close. But now it's time to cut the cord. Cold, clean, permanent. You ever seen how people suddenly become respectful once they realize you're not soft anymore? They start walking on eggshells, watching their tone, choosing their words carefully. Because when you start valuing yourself, you become unpredictable. And nothing scares a manipulator more than not being able to control the reaction. You used to give them all the answers. You used to explain yourself, justify your silence, over-apologize, just to keep the peace. But peace doesn't come from shrinking yourself. It comes from owning your space, standing your ground. And if someone feels uncomfortable around the real you, that's their problem. Don't you dare dim your light just because someone else can't handle the heat. Be serious, be distant, be calculated. Don't move with emotion, move with purpose. You think wolves waste time crying over sheep that ran? No, they move on. And that's what you're gonna do too. No more guilt, no more what ifs, just silence and progress. Let me tell you something real. Most people don't want you to heal. They want you broken, begging, and beneath them. Because a healed version of you, that's dangerous. That's a storm they can't predict. That's a fire they can't put out. And the saddest part? Some of those people wore smiles, called you brother, said I love you, held your hand while secretly planning how to keep you small. And still, you loved them. Still, you made excuses for them. Still, you prayed they'd change. That's your heart. That's your curse. But from now on, your curse becomes your weapon. You're gonna use that pain to build walls nobody can climb. You're gonna use every betrayal as fuel. You're not weak. You're focused. And focused people, they're scary because they don't talk. They don't argue. They just disappear and come back untouchable. Stop giving access to people who couldn't even handle your silence. Stop expecting closure from cowards. Stop making homes in people who were never planning to stay. You owe nobody an explanation for your healing. You don't need approval for cutting off what was bleeding you dry. You think you're cold now? Nah. You're just finally matching the energy they gave you. That's not revenge. That's survival. That's self-respect. That's growth. And growth is ugly. It's painful. It's lonely. But it's real. And real wins. Every time. You want to know the real reason they think you've changed? It's not because you became someone else. It's because you stopped letting them get away with everything. That's it. That's the switch. The second you stopped responding with softness, the second you stopped explaining your silence, the second you stopped allowing their garbage behavior to slide, that's when you became different, cold, heartless. Nah, you just got tired. Tired of feeling like a backup plan in your own life. Tired of waiting on people who couldn't even show up when you needed a damn shoulder. You spent so long being the listener, the forgiver, the one who always understood, but who understood you, who saw you falling apart and actually stepped in instead of stepping back, who gave you the loyalty you gave so freely to people who didn't even deserve your hello. That's what broke you. Not the pain itself, but the silence that followed, the realization that you were surrounded, yet completely alone. But hear me when I say this, loneliness ain't always a punishment. Sometimes it's the cure. 'Cause when you're alone, you stop absorbing everyone else's noise and start hearing your own voice again. That voice that used to whisper, "You deserve better." That voice that used to say, "Get up. You're better than this." You buried it under apologies and fake love for so long it started sounding like a stranger. But now it's getting louder, and you better listen. 'Cause it's telling you the truth you've been avoiding your whole life. That you're not here to be liked. You're here to be respected. Admiration fades. Approval is cheap. But respect sticks. Respect is earned by the ones who walk alone, who choose dignity over attention, who don't need a crowd to feel powerful. So walk alone if you have to. Burn bridges if you must. But never, ever go back to a place where your soul was starving just because it's familiar. You want to win? Then get serious. No more small talk. No more pretending you're okay when you're bleeding inside. No more sugarcoating your worth just to be accepted by people who ain't even worth your presence. The world don't owe you comfort. It owes you nothing. You want to be seen? Then make your silence louder than their screams. Let your progress do the talking. Let your distance do the punishing. Make your absence unforgettable. Because the second they realize you're no longer playing nice, they'll panic. Oh, trust me. They always do. And don't you dare let your heart get soft again just because they come crawling back with empty apologies. Forgiveness doesn't mean re-entry. Just because you healed doesn't mean they get a second shot at breaking you. You can forgive and still block the door. You can wish them peace and still move in silence like a ghost they'll never touch again. You ain't a victim. You ain't broken. You're becoming. You're evolving into something sharper, smarter, colder. And cold don't mean heartless. It means focused. It means you finally see through the games, through the masks, through the sugar-coated lies they fed you while draining your soul dry. You see it now. You see it all. And that clarity, that's your edge. That's what makes you dangerous. 'Cause now, you're not driven by love. You're driven by truth. And truth doesn't beg. Truth doesn't chase. Truth just is. So be the truth in a world full of liars. Be the silence that follows betrayal. Be the lesson they never saw coming. Be serious. And show them you're not the one to be messed with. You ever seen what happens when a person finally stops caring? When they stop explaining themselves, stop defending their name, stop waiting on people who left them on read during their darkest nights? That's when they become a force. That's when you see a storm dressed in silence. And that's exactly what you're becoming. A storm. Not loud, not messy, but dangerous. Because you've been through enough to know that peace isn't something you find in others. It's something you build when you stop expecting closure from people who were never sorry. You've been patient long enough, letting everyone cross lines while you stayed calm, letting them disrespect you while you smiled and called it maturity. But let's be honest, that wasn't maturity. That was fear. Fear of being alone. Fear of being the villain. Fear of letting go. But look where that got you. Bruised. Empty. Worn out, carrying scars from battles you never even started, all because you were too loyal to people who never deserved your loyalty. So now you become the villain in their story. Let them call you cold. Let them call you arrogant. Because they don't know the version of you that cried alone at 3 a.m. while they slept peacefully after wrecking your heart. They don't know the strength it took to hold it all in and still show up every day like nothing's wrong. But you do, you know. And now, you're done hiding it. See, people love the idea of you being soft, of you being predictable, because it gives them power. They know how to pull your strings. They know what words to say to get you to stay, what lies to whisper to stop you from walking. But when you flip the script, when you stop giving them access to your mind, your heart, your energy, that's when you reclaim your power. That's when you become unpredictable. And unpredictable people, they scare the hell out of manipulators. You don't need revenge. You don't need to prove anything. You just need to move different, quietly, with discipline, with purpose, with zero emotion for the people who treated your loyalty like it was disposable. Because at the end of the day, it's not your job to teach them how to treat you. It's your job to stop tolerating what hurts you. And if you've got to walk alone to find peace, then walk. Walk proud. Walk with a cold stare and a heart that no longer bleeds for anyone who didn't earn it. Let me tell you something most people won't. Not everyone who loves you wants to see you win. Some people love you better when you're broken, when you're desperate, when you need them, because your strength makes them feel small. Your confidence exposes their insecurity. Your silence makes them nervous, so they'll do everything to keep you doubting yourself. They'll gaslight you, guilt trip you, play victim, just to stop you from rising. But once you realize that, once you see how deep the manipulation really runs, you don't just get serious, you get surgical. You start cutting ties like a surgeon removes a tumor. No hesitation, no explanation. You just remove the infection and move on. Because healing ain't always soft. Sometimes healing looks like burning the whole damn bridge with no apology and never looking back. And that's exactly what some people need. A front row seat to your silence. To the version of you that doesn't ask questions, that doesn't plead, that doesn't beg, just leaves. So yeah, be serious. But don't just act serious. Live it. Breathe it. Let it echo in everything you do. Let your posture change. Let your tone shift. Let your vibe turn icy. Not to be rude, not to be mean, but to protect your peace. Like it's sacred, because it is. You gave too much for too little. You sacrificed too much for people who wouldn't even inconvenience themselves to help you. That ends now. You're not cold. You're just done. And that version of you, that's the one they never saw coming. You know what really shakes people? Not your anger, not your shouting, not your pain. What really shakes them is when you go quiet, when you stop reacting. When the person who used to explain every little feeling suddenly doesn't say a word. That's silence, that's power, that's fear, that's clarity. And clarity, kid, clarity is a monster. Because once your eyes open, once your heart detaches, once your soul stops craving what poisoned it, there's no going back. You start seeing things for what they really are. That friend you kept defending, just a user. That lover you kept making excuses for, just a coward hiding behind pretty words. That family member who made you feel guilty for outgrowing them, just a control freak scared of your independence. You stop romanticizing pain. You stop seeing betrayal as a lesson and start seeing it as a decision. Because people don't accidentally disrespect you. They choose to. They weigh your worth against their ego and pick their ego every single time. So you want to change the game? Start picking yourself. Every time. Stop apologizing for needing space. Stop explaining why your boundaries are tight now. You tried soft. You tried kind. Now try real. Try raw. Try being the version of you that don't flinch anymore, that don't answer every text, that don't give second chances like candy. You think people gonna like that? No, and that's the point. You weren't born to be liked. You were born to be solid. You were born to outgrow the weak parts of your story. And trust me, some chapters are gonna feel like death. Losing people you thought would be forever. Realizing you loved illusions, not humans. Facing the reality that no one's coming to save you. That's the heavy part. That's the part where most people give up. They go back to fake smiles, fake friends, fake peace, just to avoid the truth. But not you. You're built different. You've tasted pain so deep, it carved wisdom into your bones. You've cried tears that taught you more than any book could. And now you don't flinch at silence. Now you don't beg to be understood, because you understand yourself. And once you do that, no one can use confusion to trap you again. The lies bounce off. The guilt don't land. The manipulation gets exposed in real time. You start seeing people as patterns, not promises. You stop hoping for closure and start delivering consequences. And those consequences, that's your power. That's your redemption. That's your peace. Because when you stop talking, you start moving. Quiet, focused, untouchable. You think seriousness is about being rude? Nah. It's about being sharp, being deliberate, being the kind of person who don't repeat themselves, who don't tolerate the same wound twice. You gave people too many chances to ruin you. You handed out your time, your love, your energy like it was free, when it was everything. You were the blessing they didn't recognize, the peace they didn't deserve. And now you gotta become the lesson they'll never forget. Not out of hate, but out of truth. Because truth ain't soft. Truth don't sugarcoat. Truth says, you played with the wrong one. Truth says, I saw everything. I just waited to see if you'd change. And when they didn't, now you do. You don't need revenge. Just growth. Just distance. Just becoming so powerful, so centered, so unshakably real, that the same people who used to sleep on you can't even look you in the eye anymore. They'll say, you've changed. And you'll smile, because that was the whole damn point. You want to know why they never really feared losing you? It's because you made yourself too available. You were always there, always answering, always showing up. You trained them to believe you'd never leave, no matter how badly they treated you. That's on you. You kept showing loyalty like it was a discount item, like everyone deserved it just because you had a soft heart. But let's be real. Most of them didn't earn your love. They earned your silence, your absence, your back walking away. But you were scared, weren't you? Scared that walking away meant failure. Scared that letting go meant losing something valuable. But tell me, what did you actually lose? Be honest. You think you lost love? Nah. You lost people who only showed up when it was convenient. You lost conversations that drained you. You lost promises that never meant anything. That's not loss. That's cleansing. That's cutting dead weight. You didn't fail. You woke up. You finally saw that no matter how much light you gave, some people were committed to staying in the dark. So stop blaming yourself for their blindness. Stop calling it love when it was really just tolerance. You tolerated lies. You tolerated distance. You tolerated being an option in a world where you were ready to give everything. And now you're supposed to cry because they're gone? No, you celebrate. Because peace walked in the moment, chaos walked out. See, they never expected you to get up. They thought you'd stay down. They saw you broken, and they smiled. Not because they hated you. Nah, that would have been too honest. They smiled because they liked you better when you were beneath them. They liked the version of you that doubted himself, that begged, that chased, that apologized for simply existing. But now you're dangerous, because you've got clarity, you've got discipline, you've got a coldness that didn't come from cruelty. It came from survival, from waking up at 4 a.m. with your chest caving in and nobody answering the phone, from spending nights wondering why your love wasn't enough, from realizing the only one who ever really had your back was you. That kind of pain, it builds something different. It builds silence with teeth, smiles with fire behind them. It builds a person who don't threaten to leave anymore. They just vanish. No explanations, no tears, just gone. And that kind of disappearance, that's the one that haunts people. Because it doesn't scream. It doesn't slam doors. It just stops showing up. And suddenly they feel the emptiness they created. And by then, it's too late. You want to hurt them? Don't scream. Don't beg. Don't post quotes or try to get their attention. Just grow. Just level up. Just become the person they swore you could never be. Success is silent revenge. Distance is deadly, and silence is a masterpiece. You were the real one in rooms full of masks, the rare soul in a world of actors. And that scared people. It threatened the ones who only knew how to manipulate, to take, to pretend. You brought truth into rooms built on lies, and they hated you for it. That's why they tried to dim your light. That's why they talked behind your back. That's why they left when you needed them the most. It wasn't your fault. It was your fire, your potential, your intensity. And now that you finally see it, now that you finally understand who you are, you don't play nice anymore. You don't shrink anymore. You don't ask for seats at tables where they never respected your presence. You build your own. You sit alone if you have to, because being alone with peace is better than being surrounded by leeches in disguise. So here's your new rule. No more proving, no more explaining, no more convincing people to see your value. Let them miss you. Let them choke on the silence. Let them watch you from a distance, realizing they lost someone they'll never find again. Because that's the reality. They won't. They can search the world, scroll through every app, look into every pretty face, but they won't find another you. Not with your heart, not with your loyalty, not with your soul. That's the curse of being real in a fake world. They won't get it until you're gone. And when they do, it'll burn. But that's not your pain anymore. That's theirs. And you'll keep walking. Head high, soul-focused, unapologetically cold to the ones who taught you how to be that way. You ever watch someone laugh while you bleed? Not physically, emotionally, spiritually. You ever give everything you had to someone and they just shrug? Like your soul wasn't burning just to keep them warm, like your silence wasn't screaming while they smiled. That kind of betrayal, it don't hit like a slap. It hits like a ghost. Quiet, cold, lingering. And the worst part? You saw it coming. You felt it in your gut. You knew they weren't right. You knew their love was hollow. You knew their words were dipped in manipulation. But you kept hoping, kept holding on, kept telling yourself, maybe this time they'd show up. Maybe this time they'd love you right. But they didn't. They never planned to. You were just the convenience. The background character in a story they wrote with themselves as the hero. And you were just the safety net. The easy one. The one who never walked away. But not anymore. That version of you is done. Dead, buried, and in its place, a version they never saw coming, a version that doesn't cry, doesn't beg, doesn't check the phone every 5 minutes waiting on a message that ain't coming. This version of you, this one walks away with no explanation and lets silence be the closure. You gotta understand something. People like that. They don't want love. They want control. They want someone they can break and rebuild in their image. Someone they can bend, test, and stretch without consequence. And when you stop being that person, they panic. That's when the manipulation begins. Suddenly, you're the problem. You're too distant. You're too cold. You've changed. Damn right you changed. Trauma will do that. Disappointment will do that. Being taken for granted over and over and over again will do that. It reshapes you. It hardens you. It takes all that softness you used to wear like armor and melts it into a blade. Now you cut instead of catch. Now you leave instead of wait. And the same people who broke you, they don't like that. They don't like when the victim grows teeth, when the quiet one speaks through action, when the one they thought they could replace becomes irreplaceable. See, they liked you better weak. But weakness is a luxury you can't afford anymore. Not in this world. Not after what you've seen. Not after what you've survived. You think people respect kindness? No, they exploit it. You think they value loyalty? No, they expect it while giving you nothing in return. This world's upside down, kid. You show too much love. They call you clingy. You show too much strength. They call you cold. So stop trying to fit in. Stop trying to make sense of nonsense. The ones who matter will get you without needing a presentation, without needing you to water yourself down. And the ones who don't, let them talk. Let them gossip. Let them create their version of you in rooms you've never stepped foot in. Because while they talk, you build. While they laugh, you elevate. While they wait for your downfall, you become untouchable. And when they finally look up from their shallow lives and see who you've become, it'll be too late. You won't even hear their voices from the level you'll be standing on. This world don't care about your heart. It cares about your value. So build value. Be the one who's so solid, so grounded, that nothing and no one can shake you. Don't just talk it, live it. Wake up every day and make them regret the moment they thought you were weak. Make them regret not choosing you when they had the chance, and do it in silence. Don't flex, don't post, don't explain, just evolve quietly, like a ghost with a mission, like a storm they never saw coming, because that's what you are now, a storm, and when you pass through, nothing's the same. Let me break it down for you, real raw. The moment you stop reacting, you shift the power. See, most people aren't feeding off your love. They're feeding off your attention, your energy, your availability. They don't care if you're smiling or crying. They just care that you're focused on them, that you're answering the texts, explaining your silence, reacting to their games. And when you stop, when you go cold, when you stop replying with paragraphs and start replying with nothing but peace, that's when they crumble. Because their control relied on your emotional response, on your weakness, on your addiction to connection. But now you're sober, emotionally sober. You finally see that some of the people you called home were just houses full of cracks, ready to collapse the second you leaned on them. So what do? You rebuild, not them, you. You pour the concrete in silence. You reinforce your walls with truth, not hope. You stop building on sand and start building on scars. Because scars don't lie. They remind you of the fire, and they whisper, you survived. Don't you ever forget who you had to become just to function. You had to train your heart to stop expecting softness from hard people. You had to teach yourself to eat with shaky hands because no one passed you a plate when you were starving for comfort. You had to learn how to put yourself to sleep after crying so hard it felt like your lungs would give out. That's not weakness. That's war. That's survival. You made it through things that would have destroyed most people. And they have the audacity to look at you now and call you cold? Nah. What they see isn't cold. It's discipline. It's restraint. It's the decision to never bleed in front of people who laugh at pain. It's knowing how to smile while your world burns because you've seen worse. You've felt worse. And you know what? That version of you, the one who suffered in silence, that's your foundation. You build on that. Not shame, not guilt, not regret. You build on strength. And your strength came from being forgotten, overlooked, underestimated. Every time they doubted you, every time they walked away, you grew fangs. You learned how to bite without barking. And now you're a different animal. This next chapter, it's not about proving anything. It's about becoming. Becoming the person you needed when you were breaking. Becoming the standard, the blueprint, the one they can't reach. Not because you're arrogant, but because you outgrew the playground. You outgrew the games, the fake check-ins, the surface-level friendships, the backhanded compliments. You ain't playing that anymore. Now you want depth. You want fire. You want real. And until you find it, you'd rather sit alone in your silence than entertain another shallow voice that only speaks when it needs something. That's your power. Knowing that your peace is priceless, that your love is sacred, that your time is a privilege, not a right. Let them earn it. And if they don't, let them stay exactly where they left you, behind. See, you don't have to announce your growth. You don't have to post every win. Let them wonder. Let them stalk. Let them hear your name in rooms they never thought you'd enter. Let your existence become their curiosity. Because once you go silent, once you get serious, your presence becomes a question they can't answer, a wound they can't reach, a story they're no longer part of. And that's how you win. Not by revenge, not by out-talking them, but by outgrowing them so far their names don't even echo in your head anymore. They're just lessons now, footnotes in a story that's just beginning. And you're the author, the villain, the hero, all of it. They had their chance. They wasted it. Now, it's your time.